Just stretch my pecs. Oh, wait a second. Stretching will not unlock your flexibility. So if that's what you're looking to do, you should probably stop doing that right now, and I'm going to show you what you should be doing instead. Definitely times to stretch. Right now definitely isn't one of them. We're talking about unlocking flexibility, and the way we're going to do that today is by doing self-myofascial release. I'm going to show you what it is, how to do it. Remember I told you in the last video, if you missed it, I'll put a link to it. You should definitely watch that. It's part of this series. But I remember in the last video I told you to go get a ball, some kind of ball, a lacrosse ball, a tennis ball, a baseball, racquetball, golf ball, any kind of ball, so that you'd be ready for today. So go, now is the time. Go grab that ball and I'll meet you over on the turf. So now, you know the expression, hate is gonna hate. And some people have decided for whatever reason to just hate on self-myofascial release and say that it doesn't do anything other than increase your tolerance for self-myofascial release. Because if you've never done this before, then you're going to have some discomfort, also known as pain, in the next few minutes. But once you've done it for weeks and months, then you know you don't really feel it at all. It actually feels really nice. Trust me, it feels nice. So we're going to dispel that myth that it doesn't do anything. We're going to dispel that myth in a second with an experiment. But first I want to chat with you a little bit about, okay, well, what is fascia? Well, fascia is a connective tissue, and we think of it in terms of the muscle. So within our big muscles, we have microscopic little myofibrils, which are tiny little individual muscle units that are encapsulated in a fascia. And then those little myofibrils are gathered up and surrounded in a little fascia in a little cluster. Those little clusters are put together in bigger bundles called fascicles, and they're surrounded by fascia, and all those fascicles are surrounded by another fascia that makes up our whole muscle. Out the ends, if you think of all those little pieces of fascia coming out, that's what makes our tendons, and our tendons are what attach our muscles to bone, or muscles to periosteum, which is really a fascia that covers the bone. So when we think of muscles, I don't want you to think in terms of like, okay, well, my biceps goes from here to here, and then my anterior deltoid goes from there to there. I want you to think of, you know, this sort of connection, soft tissue connection. Oh, and now there's a muscle in that envelope, and then it integrates with the other soft tissue in the bone, and now, oh, here's another envelope of muscle, and I want you to think of it really as like a congruent chain of muscles as we go through. So why do we want to work on it? Well, the smart people who study these things, when they look at fascia, they see that it has thousands and thousands of sensory receptors, this high density of sensory receptors in the fascia. So that means it's an important sensory organ that it tells us information about, hey, what's the force on this muscle? What's the direction of pull? What's the magnitude of pull? What's the velocity of rate of change? And then your body and your brain has responses to that. So that's important right there. In terms of flexibility, if you've ever, been stretching, you find you're not making any progress, it's not getting any better. Well, it could be a case that the fascia has kind of adhered to the underlying muscle, and so it's stuck. And fascia is a little more like gristle in your steak. It's quite tight. It's quite, there's a lot of tension there. There isn't a lot of give. So if we think that it's the muscle, which is a little more elasticy, is stuck to that, then we're not going to get anywhere. So we get in there with, our foam roll or the stick or the lacrosse ball is what we're going to use today, and we give it a little bit of this, and we get those two surfaces sliding again, and then we can actually, unlock some flexibility. So that's why, truthfully, I say, hey, today we're going to work on unlocking some hidden flexibility. So now let's do this little experiment just to prove to yourself and everyone else that there is a benefit to it, that doing self-myofascial release will indeed unlock hidden flexibility. You're going to have to take off your shoes and socks. Maybe leave your socks on. Yeah, just take off your shoes. Guy, when's the last time you washed your shoes? Oh, I think it's time you washed them again. Oh, that stinks. Wear your sandals out in the sun much? So this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna start with a little pre-test. Your shoes and socks off. You're gonna stand with your feet right together, your knees poker straight, and you're gonna come down forward, bend, and see how far you can reach. So can you reach your fingertips, your first knuckles, your second knuckles? That's about as far as I can get down. Then I'm gonna set my stopwatch for 30 seconds, and we're gonna roll this ball in the bottom of our foot for 30 seconds. Ready, and go. And make sure you're getting to the base of your toes, right to your heel, through the arch. You should be going with enough pressure that it's like almost uncomfortable, but not painful. Okay, time's up. Switch to the other side. Same thing. Good, and now we're going to retest. So again, you would have both your shoes off, feet together, knees poker straight. You're gonna come down and see how far you get this time. And typically you'll find that you get a little bit further, like 2 inches or so. Now if you didn't get further, don't freak out. It's not crazy uncommon. Usually if I do this at a camp with like 10 goalies, might be one guy who doesn't have any change whatsoever, and I can't explain that either. But this shows you how, like, we didn't stretch our hamstrings, we didn't stretch your lower back, we didn't stretch your calves. All we did was put input into the fascia on the ball, on the base of your foot, and we've unlocked flexibility. So we're definitely going to use this as a tool, and today I'm going to show you just a few of the essential areas. There's tons of areas that we can work on, but I'm going to give you a few of the key areas for goalies right now. Before we get into the areas that we're going to target specifically, let's chat a little bit about technique, because I see a lot of guys and girls who want to ride their foam roll or the lacrosse ball like it's the scrambler at the fair. So you know, you'll see them get in there and they'll be like jiggy around and all over the place with it, and it's like whoa. Let's just tap the brakes for a second. Think of it like a massage. So you're trying to kind of scour the muscle, find trigger points or little knots. Then we might sit on those little knots and see if we can get that tension to dissipate. And then we're going to hunt around and find another area to work on. So be mindful as you do this that it's really, you're trying to do like a massage. So we've already covered one of the key areas, which is the bottom of the foot, and I think it's a great idea to work on that before every time you go on the ice. Here are a few other areas that you should include as a goalie. The first one is your main hip flexor bundle. So if I sit here, I put my thumb across the front of my hip and I kind of lift my leg, I feel a big bundle of muscle there. So I'm going to put the ball there and I'm going to just nice and gently kind of roll. I'll turn my body position to sort of get the inner aspect of that bundle, get the outer aspect of that bundle. And usually we'll do about 30 seconds on each side. Can you do more? Yes. Do you have to do more? I'm not sure. So we've done one for the front of the hip. Now we want to do one for the back of the hip, or our big pushing muscles, and it's going to be our glutes. A lot of you already do this, sort of your main part of your glute, or the part that you sit on. And usually when we do the glutes, we kind of roll from like our bum crack out towards our leg and follow some of the direction of the fibers. So we get that area pretty regularly. The area that you miss a lot is your upper glute. So to get your upper glute, you really do have to sort of lie back on your elbow. Let me get so you can see it a little better. And then you're going to get that upper glute kind of almost all the way to the top of your pelvis. If you heard something rumble, it was my stomach. So that's an important area. So don't do just the part of your glute that you sit on. Make sure you're getting that upper glute as well. This one gives people trouble all the time because they have trouble finding it. It's your TFL, or your tensor fasciae lata. It's the muscular portion of your IT band. We really don't spend very much time rolling our IT band because it is such a thick connective tissue sheath that we're not going to change it. Also because it's supposed to be tight. It's a connective tissue band that helps sort of support our pelvis in single leg stance. So it's not meant to be loose. If it was loose, we'd be in big trouble. But this muscular portion can get overworked sometimes, and then it'll get tight and fatigued. And then if it's pulling too much on that IT band, it can give you some, you know, lateral knee pain and that kind of thing. So how do we do that? Well, we get our hands on our hip bone and we kind of rotate our knee in and out, and we'll feel like a little kind of golf ball prominence that sort of comes in and out as we do that. So I'm going to put my finger on that golf ball. I'm going to come up about an inch and forward about an inch, and I find a little softer spot. It's not like a divot, but it's a little softer spot. I'll put the lacrosse ball there, and then I'll lie on it, and I'll just kind of let that melt in. Now, if you're on the right spot and you haven't done this before, you should probably do what's called the positive jaw drop sign, which is this one, because it doesn't feel very nice. Once you get used to it, it feels much better. But this one we don't really roll around on. We just kind of chill and love life. And the last one, yes, we can't talk goalie stuff without talking adductors. This one is a little hard to get on the floor, especially those of you who have big monster legs. So you might have to do it standing with the ball on a table and then bring your leg up onto that ball. Maybe don't do it on the dining room table or something because that might gross people out. But it's our groins, and we're going to just roll. And I usually kind of split it up into the outer third, middle third, inner third, and same as everything else. I'm just exploring. If I find some trigger points or some knots, I might just sit on those for a bit, see if those will dissipate, and then hunt around, find another spot. But I could spend 30 seconds on each area, the outer, middle, and the inner third. So is this all you need to do? No, absolutely not, but it's a perfect start. And in fact, if we come back for the next video, I'm going to give you 3 essential stretches. So yes, there still are some stretches we have to do. 3 essential stretches for every single goalie if you want to have looser hips on the ice and a wider butterfly flare. So if that sounds good to you, now would be a perfect time to hit the like button so I know that yes, they'd actually like to do this video, and then I'll have to go and shoot it and edit it and upload it and get it out to you. And then I know that you love gadgets because you're goalies, and so someone's going to ask about a massage gun. And the truth is, I think they have value in certain situations. I did a whole review on massage guns. I'll put the link somewhere. Definitely I'll put it in the description for you. So if you're interested in massage guns or what they are, how they work, or the one that I bought that was pretty affordable and is really does a great job, then go and check out that video. And if this video was helpful to you in any way, now would be a great time to hit that like button and to subscribe so you don't miss the next video in this series. It really helps me. It helps YouTube decide to show my videos to other goalies just like you, and my mission is to help as many goalies everywhere in the world as possible. So I don't make any money off of YouTube. The whole reason I have this channel is to help goalies. So when you hit like, it improves my standing in the algorithm, helps more goalies find my content. So that's a really cool way that you can help out. If you have any questions about self-myofascial release or hip flexibility or hip mobility training, pop it in the comments below. And as I continue to make this series for you, then I can hopefully answer those questions. Plus, I answer every single question in the comments personally as well. So that's it for today. That's it for video 2. If you missed video 1, go back and check that out now. Otherwise, I will see you next time. Cheers.